Hello. Hi, everybody.
Hi, let me introduce. We have Malcolm. He is from Technoforum. He is the Chief Strategy Advisor, Technicorum Holdings, and he has represented my conference, moderated, spoken about in various conferences in our he meets. The core topics are all about crypto. Now the new topic is Metaverse. So he is going to be delivering about the Metaverse landscape. Go ahead, Malcolm.
Thanks, Rajan. Always great to be here, and how the scene has changed, right? Those of you who have been hearing from me before, I always say the crypto landscape changes every 3 to 6 months. So the topics that we were talking about 3 to 6 months ago, not so hot right now, and the new topics that we'll be talking about are the subject matter of this conference. So happy holidays, Merry Christmas, everybody, Happy New Year. Festive season, everybody's busy with all the parties and celebrations, so it's a great time to be looking forward to the next year. Now, most of my meetings, or a majority of my meetings, I would say 60-70% of them are now talking about Metaverse, exactly all these topics, right? Gaming. So you have GameFi, SocialFi. So I'll talk a bit about SocialFi because it's the next phase after GameFi. We do have 2 projects right now that are in the pipeline and are launching very soon. So one of them is a KOL influencer project that combines NFTs, GameFi, SocialFi, and Metaverse. So basically all the buzzwords that are in the space right now. And the other one is a scholarship program along the same lines as Guild Games, because that's one of the most successful scholarship and academy projects in the space right now. So this is basically how the scene has been changing, right? Those of you who have been following the evolution of the industry over the last 1 or 2 years, most of you might not even have heard of NFTs and DeFi 2 years ago. But DeFi was the popular topic in mid 2020, and end 2020, early 2021 was NFTs, and then after that, GameFi. So what's GameFi? GameFi is popularized by games such as Axie Infinity, Splinterlands, and Play to Earn. Right. Previously, you often those of you who are gamers, you hear about pay to win. Right. So you pay money in order to win. But nowadays, the trend is reversed. You play the game to earn money. Right. And this allows actually a lot of the lesser developed countries with lower income to have people support themselves by playing games online, because they can then earn rewards from the game system and cash them for money that can help them with their daily lives. So this is a very interesting social movement actually. It's basically the blockchain and today's equivalent of 20 years ago, people playing games to earn gold and equipment and sell them on the markets peer to peer to monetize games. Right. Today's variant is you play blockchain games, and within the ecosystem you earn rewards, and you can encash these rewards through exchanges to convert it into money. Now the next phase of that, of course, is very interesting with the Metaverse, because Metaverse actually has been around for a long time, right? Over 10 years. I think one of the earliest games in this space was Second Life. In fact, I was just having a meeting about 3 or 4 hours ago where we had 2 VCs talking about Metaverse, and they were asking us about how we can help them develop these. And they want to get to market really fast because everybody's scrambling for that. Game studios are another hot commodity now. So everybody's trying to develop GameFi and develop games online. But all the good game studios are maxed out. In fact, their capacity is probably tapped out for the next 2 to 3 years. In order for you to get access to top-notch game studios, it's practically impossible unless you know someone who's a shareholder or in management. So this is something that is really, really hot in the market right now. And like going back to the Metaverse, right? Metaverse is basically an online environment, like I mentioned, Second Life. Then in the blockchain space, you have Decentraland, and nowadays there are so many permutations as well. Why is it popularized? Because Mark Zuckerberg came out and rebranded Facebook to Meta, right? At first Metaverse, and then later they just call it Meta. And that has gotten all the VCs out there scrambling and getting into the space, throwing big money into it. And you have the Winklevoss twins, the deadly rivals of Mark Zuckerberg, of course, coming out with their own version of the metaverse. You have the very well-resourced VC groups or private equity groups trying to challenge Facebook's first mover advantage in this space. And so this is a very exciting time for investments in the metaverse. You see a lot of advanced developments in China, in the US, in Korea. I've personally come across a few of these. And basically every 2 to 3 days, I'm getting pitched by people who have projects and game studios and metaverse studios and all that. So there are a lot of new technologies coming out in this space, but at the same time, there are a lot that tap on previous technologies. Felix is one of the speakers here during his last session at our group's monthly webinar, was also sharing about how his group has gotten into the metaverse and started developing all these things as well. So these are all very interesting developments in the space right now. And just last week, right after Christmas, right on Sunday, I had a pretty substantial ex-banker. He works with billionaires in the traditional finance space. Come over and talk to me for 4 hours. And the very interesting punchline was, he said, every single one of his projects now, in the pitch deck, they write metaverse, and that 10x's their value. So if you have a pitch deck with the word metaverse in there, your valuation goes up 5 to 10x. So that's basically how the VC and the private equity market is reacting to all these new developments right now. And those who are in the venture space, startup bosses are actually trying to work the metaverse elements into it. One of the groups that are working with us, in fact, our group has successfully attracted a recent investment, putting us at a certain nice valuation number. And that group, that investment banking group, is also investing into and collaborating in another metaverse project. They did a huge launch in Malaysia and launched a metaverse game. And that got the buzz going again. It got the whole market a buzz, and it's doing pretty well. And now that there's the New Year's coming, a lot of the Times Square ads, the big advertising boards out in the huge markets are showing about all the new games that are coming out. Another of my close business associates and clients is developing something that is challenging the BAYC, right? BAYC. So there are all these games coming out, all these metaverse projects coming out, combining elements of NFTs, DeFi, etc. And I think this is going to stretch over the next 6 to 12 months. And GameFi is going to then move on to SocialFi. This is something that I mentioned at the beginning of my keynote. What's SocialFi? Basically, social finance is where you can monetize your interactions in a community. So basically, fan tokens, community tokens, and now basically everybody looks at their phone all the time. If they post something, they want to see their friends and communities liking it, right? Or passing comments about them. So basically, the next phase of the blockchain and cryptocurrency, other than Metaverse is going by a path of its own, building the infrastructure for the virtual world. But the evolution of DeFi to GameFi is going to move on to SocialFi. SocialFi is the next phase. A lot of the early SocialFi projects that we've seen over the last 1 or 2 months have gone up crazy amounts, 100x, 1000x in a matter of just a few short weeks or a few short months. So look out for SocialFi. I think that's going to be exploding over the next 6 to 12 months. It's going to be the next wave after GameFi. So how are all these developing? I'm sure a lot of you have seen the news as well that Korea actually banned play-to-earn games, right? Because a lot of them cannot be qualified, and they even have a law that says that you can't earn more than like $8.42 if you play a game, right? It's a crazy law. I don't know what's the basis of it, But anyway, in Korea, although the Korean people are huge takers of cryptocurrency development and technology development, and so many of them are playing all these play-to-earn games. But right now, the South Korean government apparently has come out to do a blanket ban and ordered the Google and Apple to take down all these apps from their stores, which is a crazy development as well. And those of you who are following the Chinese scene, over the last 6 months, and in fact, I think tomorrow is the deadline for absolute ban on mining machines. So after this, if you are still caught with mining machines in China, it's going to be a very, very severe consequences. But anyway, over the last 6 months, all the financial institutions in China are no longer able to support cryptocurrency conversions into fiat. And that has led to the mass movement of Chinese crypto activity to move into the NFT space. So GameFi is huge. Right now, basically all the project owners have moved into GameFi elements and selling NFTs in order to raise funds and allow their players to use GameFi to generate cryptocurrency returns. So they're always trying to be just one step ahead of the Chinese authorities. Chinese authorities, as far as I know, haven't come down to go after the NFT games just the same way as South Korea yet. But I think that's going to happen very soon as well, once they catch up to how the technology is actually evolving. So right now, all the exchange activities are centered around GameFi. In China, in fact, if you find the new games, you can actually make returns of 100% within like 2 to 3 weeks. Right, that's how crazy it is right now, and a massive interest from players who get onto VPNs to play these games emanating from China. That's the trend right now amongst all these players. So they are moving away from the traditional ICOs and traditional blockchain projects to move into the GameFi element to use NFTs, because it's just moving one step ahead of the regulatory environment. So these are basically the trends. I think Rajan did a great job just now sharing his slides about the developments in the space and what he foresees over the next year. And really, these are the macro movements that I fully agree with. But what I'm giving you is more colloquial descriptions, right, of what's really happening in the market and what's coming at us. And practically every few days, I'm talking to VCs, talking to investors, asking about how they can get into the space. I see a lot of new networks building up, and then a lot of the traditional finance people getting in the space and asking how can they get involved. These are all technological involvements, innovations that a lot of the crowd here and the speakers here are deeply entrenched in and deeply involved in. But the mass markets are way behind us, and they just need to play catch up. So I think this bodes very well for the next year. The next year ahead is going to be extremely exciting with all these new areas of blockchain that we are moving into. The Metaverse, GameFi, SocialFi, and after SocialFi, I don't even know yet. Right? I think 6 months later, I will hear about what's going on, what's coming up next. But now all these interactions between GameFi, SocialFi, and the Metaverse are really leading us to the next evolution of the blockchain industry. So with this, I will hand the mic to the next speaker. Rajan, is Vijay here already?
I'm just checking whether he has come. So
sure. So while Rajan is still checking, I'll just speak a bit more. So for us at Technicorum Holdings, Technicorum Group is moving on into the public markets. So that's the next space that we're exploring as well, moving back into the traditional markets. Of course, in the crypto markets, we are launching several projects, like I mentioned earlier. So these are some things that if you're interested in, you can just reach out to me on LinkedIn, buzz me, and I can share some information about that. But otherwise, we are all looking forward to COVID restrictions being lifted. Unfortunately, with the new Omicron variant, a lot of the world has been thrown into disarray again. Hopefully that will be solved sooner or later. but it's a new paradigm, right? It's a new world order, and how all these events are being run. Rajan has done a great job over the last year plus, hosting all these events, and it's always great to be here speaking, and always seeing a lot of the thought leaders in the space as well as fellow speakers. Yeah.
Yeah, Vijay has come. Just 1 second. There is a
Sure.
Microsoft is disturbing. 1 second.
Yes. Yeah, but a lot of traditional events have already restarted, but unfortunately, they keep opening up and closing up again because of the disruptions from COVID. So a lot of our offices, actually, our staff have been moving around Europe. Now there are a lot of events happening in North America as well. And it's heartening to see that the face-to-face events are starting again. Of course, Dubai has been the center of this for the last 1.5 years. Now Binance has gone in a big way into the Middle East because they've been thrown out of basically everywhere else in the world. So that's leading to a lot of interest. I think last week they announced that Bahrain actually gave them some kind of regulatory nod. And then they were making some PR announcement about Dubai or the UAE actually working with them as well. So that's another place where there are a lot of face-to-face events. Yeah, but looking forward to all these again.
I think he has come, so I can invite him.
Sure, go ahead.
He's in the session, but he's not able to come to the stage. I'm just inviting him.
And it's really heartening to see the development of the entire cryptocurrency market over the last year as well. Now we are something like 2.2 trillion in terms of the total market cap. I think it rose to a max of about 2.7, 2.8 trillion. Come down a bit, but it can only go up after this. We're still a big fraction. We are only a small fraction of the entire equity value equity chain as well. So I think there's a long, long way to go to triple trillions, right? We're still at the cusp of it only.
Okay, so I think I will. Vijay is not responding. He's there in the session, but he's not coming on the stage. So I will end the session. I'll go for the next one. That's better, I think. Okay.
Okay, sure.
Thank you. Thank you, Malcolm.
Thank you, guys.
I think we look forward in the panel again.
Of course.
Thank you.